workshop on gut health. What you guys will learn tonight is there is a huge correlation between the gut and the brain. Excuse me, the brain and the gut. I had that backwards. So it's in between the gut and the brain, and actually sometimes the gut is considered to be the second brain, and you'll understand why later. One cannot do something without the other, believe it or not, because the gut makes the chemicals that the brain needs for the neurotransmitters to tell the rest of the body what to do. So when you don't eat healthy and you have a bad gut, it's not just a big gut, but an unhealthy gut. You can have a skinny six-pack of abs and still have a bad gut. If your gut is bad, it's going to affect the brain. It can cause a bunch of other different things. All right? So this is the connection. This is just a quick little cartoon. It says on the left side, it has a picture of a gut, and on the right side, it has a picture of a brain. And the gut says, look, I know this sounds crazy, baby, but I feel like we have a real connection here. And on the brain says, they always say, trust your gut feelings. You guys are supposed to laugh more than that. All right. So anyway, so this is the issue right here. So if you or anybody you know has digestive problems, chronic colds, allergies, and ear infections as adults, now it's a little bit different in kids, but adults that have chronic digestive problems, chronic colds, allergies, and ear infections a lot could have a gut issue. All right, it's not just something else. Because of this, when you have a bad gut, you have a bad immune system. All right, because the gut provides the things the immune system needs to work, communicate back and forth. So if you are somebody that is deficient in vitamins, meaning you don't take your supplements like you're supposed to, or you're taking junk supplements, or if you're somebody that eats a very high carb diet and a low fat diet, because that's what you've been led to believe, which is a lie, all right? You guys should eat low carbs, high fat. So complete opposite of what you've been taught, all right? Look around. I mean, everybody's doing the same thing, and how do we look, right? And so you got to be complete opposite sometimes. Be a little different. If you have small intestines, bacteria overgrowth, which is going to be like your what's it called, candida overgrowth in your stomach, and you have a lot of gas and bloating every time you eat, that can be a sign that you have a bad gut as well. If you don't sleep enough, raise your hand if you don't get enough sleep. 90% of the room, right? That was funny. Most of the retired people raised their hand, and the people that were still working did not. Why is that? That's not supposed to happen. If you don't exercise enough, you don't have enough oxygen in there. Any type of stress affects your digestive system. I know personally, with my wife, if she has a stressful situation, you've probably heard the story. I have 7 brothers and sisters. She's got 10. So we got a big Southern family. And so there's always some stress and some drama in our Southern family. We're like everybody else, right? And if there's some drama going on with a sister or brother or something, guess what my wife's stomach does? She gets tore up in the stomach, right? And so a lot of times that stress will affect your digestive system as well. And if your hormones are unbalanced, that's going to affect your gut, which is going to cause a weak immune system. So this is the correlation here, all right, before we get into how to correct these things. So your gut, so there's 2 hormones, serotonin and dopamine, that we're going to talk a lot about tonight, all right? Does anybody know where serotonin is made? You want to guess? Everybody says the brain. Anybody disagree with that? 90% of serotonin is made in your gut, not your brain. But it's the brain hormone. We all think about the brain when we think of serotonin, but 90% of it is made in the gut, okay? And so your gut makes serotonin, which eventually comes back up here to the brain, and so it makes these things, the serotonin for the neurotransmitters and all that other good stuff for you to focus and feel good and be happy. And so if you have a bad gut problem because of too much bad bacteria from not eating healthy, you don't make enough serotonin. And if you don't make enough serotonin, the neurotransmitters in the brain don't fire enough. Okay? And we call that depression or anxiety. Okay? And if they're not firing enough, when you eat food, they're supposed to fire and secrete different nutrients and tell the gut what to secrete, your pancreas to how to digest certain foods. So if you have a bad gut, the brain doesn't have what it needs to tell the gut what to do. Does that make sense? And so it's like a vicious cycle there. So it's like a dog chasing its tail, never been able to get better. Make sense? Or just running around in circles all the time. So what your gut does affects the brain, and what your brain does actually affects the gut. Dopamine's made in the brain, but serotonin is made in the gut. So you guys remember that. 90% of it is actually made in the gut. All right? That's why it's important to fix both of them, not just one. And my flicker's not going to stop clicking. All right. So that is why we call your brain, your gut, your second brain, because the brain cannot function without your body making serotonin and the other chemicals it makes from the digestive process. All right? So, 2 things we're going to do tonight. How many steps is it? 2, not 1. All right? So first of all, we're going to talk about how to fix the brain, and then we're going to talk about how to fix your guts. All right? Those are the two steps. And when it comes to fixing the brain, we're going to talk about how to balance that brain chemistry, how sleep affects that brain chemistry, how stress affects that brain chemistry, and how interference distresses that brain chemistry as well. And when I say the interference, it means the brain-body communication, which is the adjustment. All right, so that's the part where the adjustment comes in. The rest of that is dealing with sleep. And once we get through that, we're going to talk about how to repair a leaky gut. Yes, that is such thing as a leaky gut. And yes, food literally leaks through your guts. All right, particles of food do. And that's what leaky gut is. And I'll explain that, show you how to correct that, and tell you exactly what that causes in order to rebalance that gut bacteria. All right? So, still not working. There it is. So these are the 5 key things. Obviously, we always talk about in our workshops, the 5 essentials. How many essentials is there? 5. These are the things you guys learned when you first started. Maximizing mind, nerve supply, nutrition, lean oxygen, lean muscle, and then minimizing those toxins. So let's get right into this. All right. So when you are under stress, all right, or you have poor sleep, it damages the neurotransmitter balance in your brain. So we have serotonin that we know the gut makes that goes to the brain. And as a quick review, serotonin is the mood stabilizer, what makes you feel good, right? And then the dopamine is what affects the neurotransmitters that cause you to be focused or have drive and energy. So if you're somebody that just sits around all the time and you don't have any energy or don't feel like doing anything but just sitting there and looking at the Facebook or the TV or whatever the case is, chances are your dopamine is very, very low. All right? Or if you're somebody that's depressed a lot, chances are your serotonin is very low. And so we have to fix those 2 things. All right? And this is how we start that process. So the first thing I want to talk about is sleep. All right? Does anybody here sleep an average of 8 hours a night? A couple people. A good bit. Your wife's saying you do. He snores for 7. He sleeps for 2. All right. So this is the part, before we fix everything else, we first have to fix your sleep pattern. So I'm going to give you guys what to do over the next 7 days to fix your sleep pattern. All right? The reason why we're fixing the sleep pattern is so we can help focus the brain so the brain can repair at night, so we can affect the gut, so we can fix your gut problems. Does that make sense how that's coming together here? All right, so on day 1, you need to get a new sleep routine, all right? And we're just going to go through all 9 of these over the next 7 days. So this is how this will work. This is one week here. On day 1, cut off your cell phone and your computer 1 hour before you go to bed, all right? And if you're somebody that thinks you cannot do that, that's why you're not sleeping at night. Make sense? 90% of America sits there and looks at the crack book every night before they go to bed, looking at the rest of the world, right? The crack book's the Facebook, right? And so we're sitting there scrolling, looking at everybody else before we go to bed at night. We're laying in bed, looking at our computers, reading stuff online, the news, seeing what Fox and CNN are doing to each other, whatever the case is, or you're looking at your cell phone. And so cut your cell phone or your computers off 1 hour before you go to bed, and that will force your brain to come down slowly, all right? Then, when you do lay down at night, for 10 minutes, sit there and do something like a ritual. Pray, breathe, relax, meditate. Just do something to slow your mind down. We're so go, go, go in our country. There's so much attention here and here, and everybody's trying to get your attention. When you lay down, you think about everything you did during the day. You think about everything you got to do tomorrow. You think about the kids, the spouse, the grandkids, and you don't shut your brain off, right? So just lay there and breathe, or just do something before you go to bed for 10 minutes. Now, this one's huge. When you wake up the next morning on day 2, before your feet hit the ground, if you're a faithful man, first thank the God above for the next day you have, and be grateful for what you have. All right? What I do personally is as soon as my eyes wake up in bed, I thank God every day. And I'm not pushing my beliefs on you guys, but I thank God every day for the wife I have, the kids, my business, the ministry that we run, all these different things. Even if I had a crappy day, I still thank Him for the crappy day, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that have it worse than you guys. They have more stress than you, even though you think yours is pretty darn bad, all right? So God's not going to bless you guys if you're not thankful for what you have already. And that's my sermon for the day, okay? So make sure you thank whoever you're thanking in the morning for the day to come. Even if you had a bad day, thank Him for the opportunity to have a bad day, right? Just do what you got to do. Be thankful, and when you're thankful, you have more positive energy, and you're not so negative, right? It makes for a better day. Day 3. When you're sitting in the office or doing whatever you do during day 3, this is the step I want you to follow on day 3. If you're sitting there and you're stressed out, looking at your computer, work, shopping, in traffic, doing something, just stop, take 10 deep breaths, and just refocus yourself, right? And all these little things we're going through are going to add up to stress reduction, so you can sleep really good at the end of the week. And if you follow these routines, it'll work. So if you're stressful on day 3, sit there and just take 10 deep breaths. Get up, walk around, go talk to somebody that's positive, and that just makes you feel good, right? One of those positive people, whatever the case is, all right? On day 4, figure out what you like to do and do it on day 4. Nobody ever does anything for themselves anymore, right? Because we're all busy doing everything for everybody else. And so your brain never shuts off. Do something that you enjoy to do. And again, another step in de-stressing yourself. And if you just add one of these every single day as we go, by the end of the week, this is what's going to happen. All right? On day 4 also, when you get home, try to take a 15 or 20 minute nap. Power nap. See what happens. All right? Studies have shown people that sleep 15 or 20 minutes during the day sleep really, really good at night. So the people that nap during the day, guess what? They sleep really, really good at night. And so maybe you just need a 15 or 20 minute power nap. You'll be surprised how that makes you feel. On day 5, find an exercise routine. All right? You don't have to join a gym or anything like that, but just walk. Do something. Walk down the road and back. Walk to the end of your driveway 5 or 6 times and then stop. Just find something to move yourself on day 5. All right? And then on day 6, set your clocks, and I challenge you to try to sleep at least 9 or 10 hours a day. On day 6, when you go to bed early enough so when you know you get up, you're going to get 9 or 10 hours of sleep and see what happens. If you're focused on that 9 or 10 hours of sleep and you've done all this stuff leading up to these deep things to de-stress, shut your mind down and all this stuff on day 6, see how it works. And try to get that 9 or 10 hours of sleep. If you get 8, great, but try for the 9 or 10. All right? That is completely possible. All right? And then on day 7, if you're still not sleeping, cut the coffee out. It's that simple. All right? No coffee before afternoon, rather. No coffee after 12 noon. All right? So that's just my really quick thing what to do over the course of a week to help your sleep get under control so we can now get to the gut. Also, just really quick, if you're somebody that just doesn't relax at night and your muscles are always tense and your brain doesn't shut off, take something like a liquid magnesium right before you go to bed. Liquid magnesium has been shown it relaxes and slows muscles and slows everything down and relaxes you. So if you take like a spoonful of magnesium before you go to bed at night, that'll help shut everything down. But the key is with magnesium is no more than a teaspoon. Because if you take 2 teaspoons, anybody know what happens? He relaxes those bowels, right? And you're going to wake up at 2 in the morning sitting on the ceramic god, right? Yeah. And so take something like a liquid magnesium, take it right before you go to bed. Just take a spoonful of it, no more than a spoonful, and that'll help shut everything down because magnesium relaxes everything. It's good for cramps too, by the way, if you're somebody that cramps up at night, right? And one more thing, anybody ever heard of 5-HTP? 5-HTP? When it comes to the brain and serotonin, 5-HTP, nobody? All right, you guys write down 5-HTP. I want you to go home and look that up on your phone when you get out of here, not here. Because that's being distracted, like chasing some squirrels. All right? So, 5-HTP, so when you take a synthetic form, going back to serotonin and get it for the brain and things like that, if you take anxiety, depression is a chemical imbalance, right? And so you take a chemical, which is the depression medication, anxiety medication. But we all know it has side effects, and that's why we don't want you to take it. 5-HTP does the exact same thing as the anxiety and depression medications does. And it's a natural supplement you can buy over the counter. Has the exact same effect as the depression medication does. And so instead of taking your side effects depression medication or anxiety medication, you can take something with 5-HTP in it. All right? And so that's why we always tell people the sleep and mood formula, the #1 ingredient is what? 5-HTP. So something like sleep and mood or something else is really, really good for people that don't sleep well and have anxiety and depression as well, because that sort of slows things down and it makes things focus with that 5-HTP. And basically what 5-HTP does is it forces the serotonin you do have in your body to be absorbed by those neurotransmitters. It's like a steroid for the serotonin to make it get sucked up by the neurotransmitters. That's how 5-HTP works. So that's why we recommend sleep and mood formula as well, for those of you that don't sleep and have anxiety or depression problems. If you are somebody, yes ma'am.
That has helped me tremendously.
That's good.
My mood especially.
Yeah. It's good stuff. It does the exact same thing as the prescription medications does, and it has those side effects, like suicide. You know, so we don't want that. Yeah, it's crazy. And guys, just so you know, if you do take that or you're going to take that and you're taking strong depression medication first, what you want to do is take this for a couple weeks, get it in your system, and then slowly wean yourself off the depression medication. So don't stop the depression medication cold turkey or the sleeping aids cold turkey. Get this in your system for a week or two, and then slowly wean yourself off the prescription part, and then keep taking that, because it does the same thing. All right? Good deal. All right. So the final thing to de-stress the brain before we get to the gut is get adjusted, guys. It's that simple. You know, that's our bread and butter. That's what we do with you guys, right? We come in, you lay on the table, we remove the interference, get that brain communicating to the gut back and forth. The gut stuff's great. The nutritionist part we're going to go through in a second. The supplementation is all good, but if you don't remove the interference from the brain to the gut through the adjustment or the spinal column, then you're just like a rat spending all your money on stuff and running around on a wheel, never getting anywhere. All right? So we want to make sure we acknowledge that, because all healing comes from the inside out, the way God designed us, not from the outside in. All right? So let's get to the gut. Leaky gut. Arthritis, allergies, depression, eczema, any type of skin, psoriasis, skin stuff, hives, chronic fatigue, or fibromyalgia. If you or somebody you know has these, you could possibly have a leaky gut. All right, and because all of these are actually autoimmune problems. And remember, we learned in the beginning, the gut and the brain control the immune system. And so if you have a leaky gut, it's going to cause an autoimmune condition, which I'll show you guys in a second here. So let's jump right into that then. All right. So, intestinal inflammation in your gut lining. When you have that problem, remember we talked about this in the beginning. You're deficient in your vitamins, and when you're deficient, you now will no longer absorb the B12, magnesium, and the iron. All right, which is what your body needs. And when that happens, it actually causes an immune response. And when you get that immune or that negative response there, it actually causes the GI issues like just the IBS, digestive problems, diarrhea, constipation. And when that goes unchecked, it eventually forces you to have intolerances in food, so food allergies. And that's the next step of this. So when you start having a food allergy, you're borderline to having an autoimmune problem, because if you don't check the food allergy, it eventually turns into an autoimmune disease. And I'll show you how all that works. So simply eating something like gluten, that when you're gluten intolerant, will cause you to have an autoimmune problem, because the body spends all this time fighting its gut and itself, attacking the gluten, that it makes these antibodies that fight off everything else. Therefore, the body turns on itself, and we call that an autoimmune disease. All right? So your gut has a lot to do with your autoimmune diseases as well. So this is what leaky gut looks like. This is your gut lining right here. These little white things that look like rice, we're going to call those gluten. All right? So this is your gut lining in here in your stomach, or not your stomach, but your intestines. It's large, your small intestines digesting food right through here, right? So what happens is when you eat bad foods like gluten, say you're gluten intolerant, and it gets on this gut lining right here, it stimulates and irritates that for those of you that are allergic to gluten or whatever food you're eating, and it makes this chemical called zonulin, all right? Z-O-N-U-L-I-N or something like that. It's called zonulin. What zonulin does when it's secreted is it forces things to open up and relax. So the more bad foods you eat that you're allergic to cause more zonulin to come up, and what happens, that causes those cells, or that cell, that wall of that digestive system to open up in part, like it's parting. And then those food particles and all those chemicals and stuff can now literally leak through your gut lining. Does that make sense? and get into the system, all right? And once it's in the system, all these antibodies and all these antigens start attacking it, and lymphocytes start attacking it because it's something recognized as foreign. And when it keeps attacking it, it gets burned out, and they end up mutating and forming other particles that irritate the immune system, and then you develop an autoimmune problem, right? So that's it in a nutshell how that works. So this is what happens from stress, toxicity, food particles that you're allergic to, too many medications or either legal or illegal drugs, different diseases you come in contact with that you can't fight off because you have bad bacteria or not enough good bacteria, or if your liver and other filters in your body aren't functioning at 100%, that causes that GI inflammation. All that stuff passes through the gut wall like we talked about, creates the food intolerance like we just talked about, affects the immune system, and then that turns into the autoimmune problem. So any questions about that process? I know it was a lot really quick, but it's going to be very important that you learn that part as we continue on. We're good about that? So that is why, look at it like this. So sometimes when you eat spicy foods or a food, does anybody ever get their nose starting to run?
Oh, yeah.
That's the immune response right there, right? That's your body saying, hey, you're allergic to that, and so we're going to make it's inflammation, and we're attacking that, histamine or whatever you want to call it, right? And your nose starts to run. So that's your first sign when you're eating something that you shouldn't be eating, all right? And if you keep eating that, you come to me and it's like, Doc, I got indigestion. I got acid reflux. What am I going to do? What can I take? You know, or my sinuses run every time I eat this food. What do I need to do? Just stop the food, number one, right? But if not, you got to go take some stuff. And you guys always ask for something to take. You just don't want to stop the food is a problem. All right? So be careful there. All right? So this is how we're going to fix the gut. We're going to remove the bad foods. And the bad foods are this. Anything with sugar in it, because sugar's the what?
Devil.
The devil. All right. Sugar, processed foods, and rancid foods. Rancid fats. These are going to be your oils, like vegetable oil and canola oil. All right. If you guys listen to talk radio like I do, one of the biggest advertisers right now for the American Heart Association is the canola oil industry, and they're literally on there saying, stay away from the bad fats that are coconut oil, which is a lie, and they're telling you to eat healthy fats like vegetable oil, right there on the radio. You've probably all heard the commercial. They go through the American Heart Association says eat good fats like healthy vegetable oils and canola oils. It drives me insane. If you know anything about those fats, they're what? They're rancid and they're bad for you, and they're causing heart disease and strokes. And yet, they're advertising for you not to eat coconut oil and actually eat the bad vegetable oil that's killing on you guys. And it's just a big system. But hey, when you sponsor somebody, guess what you can do? You can talk about it. Okay? So keep away from those foods. Replace the foods with good fats. Replace your good foods with fresh vegetables, fruits that are low in sugar like Granny Smith apples, lean protein. And guys, I'm an advocate of beef. Even include red meat. Some of you don't agree with eating red meat, and that's okay. That's your thing. I eat red meat at least once a day. Okay? And that's just me. And it doesn't bother me. As long as you eat the lean red meat, it's okay for you. What happens is we go buy a lot of the red meat that you buy conventionally is so chock full of fillers, and it's grain fed, and it's just hormones, antibiotics, all that stuff. And so that's why red meat gets a bad rap. All right? But if you eat organic, grass-fed, lean meat, like 96% lean, red meat is actually good for you. It's one of the biggest sources of iron. So I want you to eat red meat. All right? Believe it or not. The two plans, which is the core and advanced plan. So if you're a patient of ours, you should know about the core plan and the advanced plan. Those are the two plans, obviously, we want you to follow for that gut health. If you're somebody who wants to lose weight, it's the advanced plan. If you just want to eat healthy to repair your gut, it's the core plan. And then always rebalance your gut with good probiotics. Right? Probiotics are something like that. Probiotics there. So that's how we're going to fix the gut. All right. So number one, we want to remove the bad foods. Anything that is in a box that you eat or heat up is killing you. It's destroying your immune system. All right. So some of you guys eat this stuff on a daily basis. Eggos, right? Pies, lean cuisine. Ain't nothing lean about that lean cuisine up there in that corner. You're going to get fat eating that lean cuisine. Right? So just stay away from the box foods, the healthy choice. There's nothing. You ever looked at the box of a healthy choice? There ain't nothing healthy in there, but it's called healthy choice. It's got high fructose corn syrup in it, and it's vegetables. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It just makes it, and full of salt and sodium, somebody said, right? It's full of sodium. It makes you bloated. Right? Remove the things like your grains, wheat, rice, oats, corn, and barley. All right, all this is genetically modified in our country anymore. That's no good. I don't care if it's the dark organic stuff. It's still genetically modified in our country. Unless it specifically says it, stay away from the grains because they're killing you guys. You can't digest. There's no nutritional value whatsoever in grains anymore in our country because it's all genetically modified. Grain now, if you go out west, it grows this tall. Back in the day, it was like this if you've been around long enough, because it's all genetically modified. Then we have to spray chemicals on it anymore, because bugs fall off of it, right? It's because it's genetically modified.
Have you heard of einkorn?
Do what?
Have you heard of einkorn?
Einkorn, man.
Yeah, that comes from Italy.
Does it?
It's the 10,000-year-old variety that's not.
Oh yeah, the old-fashioned kind. Yeah, that anything old-fashioned or organic or heirloom seeds, something like that. That's what you want to plant. If we have a garden, we do everything heirloom seeds. Because it's good stuff, but stay away from the conventional stuff, obviously. I know you guys love the donuts and you love to sit in line over there at Krispy Kreme down the road, especially this time of year, but stay away from the donuts because they're immune downers as well. All right. Milk, if you are somebody that's allergic to milk, stay away from it. If you're somebody that's not allergic to milk, you can drink it, but just make sure you're drinking the full fat form of milk. I say that every time I do a workshop. Milk is good for you in the full fat form because it's pure fat. That's what you want. It's a good fat. But when you drink skim milk or you drink 2% milk, there's no fat in it, and what's left? Sugar. It's just sugar water is all it is. Lactose is milk, and it's just sugar. It's milk sugar is what it is. So you're drinking skim milk, and you're drinking 2%, you're drinking pure sugar water, and it's very, very acidic. You drink it for your bones, but there's nothing, because it has vitamin D in it, but it's very, very acidic, so what does it do to the bones? It dissolves the bones. So you shouldn't drink it for your bones, because it makes your bones worse, right? Even though they tell you to drink plenty of milk because of healthy bones, it's not the case, because of vitamin D, it's not the case. It's very acidic, right? So drink full fat milk if you drink milk, and if you can, do a conventional, do a raw as close to raw as you can get, like Happy Cow or something like that. You can buy it from the grocery store.
It's actually raw milk, but you can get it
Yeah, and raw milk. I think Milky Way's a raw milk place too. You can do that. But milk is good. Milk's good when it comes out of the cow, and it doesn't bother you because it's got enzymes in it, right? But when they pasteurize it, what do? It kills the enzymes, including the bacteria, and therefore you can't digest it, and that's why milk's bad for you, right? So you want something that's not pasteurized, like raw milk, or something that's been low heated pasteurized, like Happy Cow. If you have to shake the milk before you drink it, that's the milk you want. If you don't shake it and you can drink it, then it's bad milk. That's the go-to thing with that, right? Because good milk will actually separate. You'll see that layer of fat on top of it, right?
If you shake it too much, it turns into butter.
Yeah, the store takes cream out of it because they sell that to you in the form of butter. That's what they do. Charge more for it, all right? So when it comes to eating, is this good for you? Oh yeah. And guys, that's my favorite meal. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love spaghetti and meatballs, but that's an immune downer right there. Right? That's gonna kill your immune system. What about this one? No, as good as it tastes, it's not. What about this one? Oh yeah. Waffle. That's a Denny's. I'm a Waffle House type of person myself, but that's a Denny's. Is that good for you? No, of course, right. And what about the old Bojangles chicken? Tastes good though, right? Especially all that hot sauce on there for some of you guys. My son, he just wants hot sauce and everything. I was like, you're young now, you're 15 years old. Wait till you get older. It's tear your stomach up. So anyways, you got to stay away from that, all right? We want you to nourish the body, all right? Give the body live food. Anything that's alive, like a vegetable or fruit, or close to as live as possible, is how you nourish your body and your immune system. When you eat something dead, it's dead. It's just look at it as dead. All right? These are different things to nourish your body to help repair that gut. Good types of protein. Make sure if you're doing a protein, it's undenatured, meaning it's not been pasteurized. Because when they pasteurize protein, what happens to the protein? It again kills the enzymes, breaks the protein molecules, and you can't make muscle with it, right? So make sure you're doing a protein that is undenatured, meaning it hasn't been pasteurized very, very high, all right? That is good organic, just raw cheese is a lot better for you than the sliced cheese. Free-range eggs, salmon. This is coconut oil up there. You should do a spoonful of coconut oil for breakfast and a spoonful of coconut oil for lunch. That's a good fat, will give you lots of energy. All right, I do that personally myself. Avocados with everything if you can. Coconut and obviously raw almonds is very good too. Those are the different foods that are really, really good for you to nourish your gut with. All right?
How do you do your coconut oil?
Just out of the bucket. So we get the big bucket that looks like this, maybe bigger from Costco. It's really cheap at Costco. And so in the morning time, it's a spoonful of raw coconut oil straight in the mouth. Okay? It melts as soon as it hits your tongue. And for lunch, same thing. Or if I'm running behind after my morning run or something, Stacy will put it in my shake, because I do a shake every morning. And so a lot of times she'll put pineapple or something in there for me and bananas, and then she'll put a spoonful of coconut oil in there too, because it sort of mixes it in there if I forget to do it. Right. Vicki, yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to ask this, but I think I've got the notes for it, but what was the title of step 2? I missed step 2.
For
This was step 3, what was right before it, what step? Replace with good food.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You got it? Okay. Yeah. And that's where we're getting to right now. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, coconut oil. Any other questions on coconut oil right quick? Yes, ma'am.
Teaspoon or tablespoon?
Both. More the better. Let me tell you guys about coconut oil. My wife has a tub of coconut oil in her kitchen, the same one that I put in my shake. She fries food in, because you can fry food in coconut oil because it doesn't turn rancid. She has a wooden bucket of coconut oil on her bathtub. So when she takes a bath and the room's steamy, it melts the coconut oil, right? So when she gets out of the bathtub, what does she put on herself? Coconut oil. She doesn't use the smelly stuff that's got all the chemicals and bad parabens in it. She uses the same coconut oil she cooks with, and she feeds us. She puts it on her skin. She puts it in her hair. My wife actually brushes her teeth with coconut oil, right? Coconut oil is antibacterial. It kills gingivitis better than that other stuff that makes you choke, right? And so she puts baking soda and coconut oil together, and she brushes her teeth. I mean, I personally don't do that, but she's dedicated. And she brushes her teeth with coconut oil. You can use coconut oil everywhere, guys. Your hair, your skin, everything. Yes, sir.
I put a tablespoon in our Black Lab's meal every morning,
There you go.
and his coat is really dry.
Yeah.
Since I've been doing that, looks great.
Nice and shiny. Exactly. I mean, coconut oil is the best thing ever, right? Right. Any other questions? Yes, yes, ma'am.
Do you get the same benefits from MPC oil as you do coconut oil?
I'm not sure. I'm sure you could, because it's a good oil, but I've never compared the two or anything. I just always did the coconut oil because that's what my wife gets me. I've never had that type of oil, but a lot of people talk about it. I've just never done my research on it, so I don't want to. All right. So again, we talked about protein. Make sure it's a good protein if you're doing that. Okay. So this is part about replacing the gut here. So this is our current situation with our gut, and this is the government's food pyramid. Okay. If you notice on the bottom of the food pyramid, this is from the USDA, they tell you eat lots of bread and cereal and rice and pasta. Literally, that's what they tell you to do. All right? High carbs, that's what the government tells you to do. That's the official government stance, is eat lots of high carbs, which is sugar, right? It breaks all down into sugar, right? And then they say eat a little bit of vegetables and fruit, and then a little bit of fat right here, and then actually their smallest thing is fats. That's what the government tells you. Okay. All right. This is what I tell you guys. All right. This is our version. 65% fat. This is the healing gut. This is to heal your gut and to eat healthy. This is what you need to do. All right. You want to eat 65% fat. And when I say fat, I'm not talking McDonald's and Burger King. Obviously, that's bad fat. Or vegetable, that's bad fat. We're talking good, healthy fats like your nuts, cheeses, avocados, fish, all that other good stuff, right? Red meat, that's lean, but it still has good fat in it. And then so 65% fat, 30% protein. This is going to be your protein supplements, fish, meats, things like that as well. And then only eat 5% green leafy vegetables. Some of you love that diet. And then 0% sugars. So this should be your plan here to heal your gut. Very simple. 65% fat, 30% protein, and 5% green leafy vegetables. Anybody have a problem with that or don't understand that? And then 0 sugars at the top.
How do you go about getting that much fat?
All right, she asked, how do you go about getting that much fat? So personally, I'll just say what I do. All right, I eat 7 times a day, 7, 10, 1, 4, and 7. So I'm on a 3-hour routine. I eat every 3 hours. You can ask the girls, I have the lunch bag in the back, okay? So every meal I make sure I eat fat with every single meal. That's how I do it. My go-to fat is almonds and almond butter. They make the packets of almond butter, Justin's does, and I just pop a whole, it's 2 tablespoons in a packet. I eat it almost with every single meal. That with my coconut oil gives me my good fats. And then Stacy chops up avocados, which is pure fat, and then she puts it in like my tuna and stuff like that. So just make sure you eat fat with every single meal is bottom line with that, all right? Any other questions about getting all that fat in there? Okay. So when to eat? This is a big question for a lot of people, when to eat. Now, I said I eat at 7, 10, 1, 4, and 7 because that's me. That's what I do. But if you're somebody that's trying to repair your gut or lose weight or get into ketosis or anything like that, this is the times you should eat as an individual to help repair that gut. And I'm going to put all this together in a second on a handout you guys have that will go through all of it. So just pay attention right now. Don't write this part down, okay? Because you guys have this. So we have 2 kinds. And I talked about this a little, actually later on, earlier on this year, I shared this with you guys. But this is the beginner part, or if you're all in like a warrior part, all right? So most of us will do the 16-8. That means we're not going to eat for 16 hours a day, and we're only going to eat 8 hours a day. For those of you that are hardcore in it, and you want to fast and do all this other stuff, you're not going to eat for 20 hours out of the day, and you're only going to eat for 4, all right? So this is what happens here. So in this time frame here, if you're doing the 16-8, you should not eat anything before lunchtime, 12, 1 o'clock. It's that simple. Half of this time you're fasting, you're going to be sleeping, so don't get overwhelmed with the 16 hours of fasting, okay? And so what happens is you wake up in the morning, you don't eat anything, all right? And your body's sort of eating off its reserves, okay? And then right before lunch, you're going to do some activity. Take a walk, a run, exercise, do something, and you're going to burn off all those reserves. And then when you eat around 12 or 1 o'clock, and you're going to eat from 12 to 8 or 9, however it is, 8 hours for you, you're going to replenish the body, and you're only going to eat 2 meals in there, all right? And then you're not going to eat past 7 or 8 as long as you're staying up for 2 or 3 hours. Does that make sense to you guys? All right? And if you're hardcore about it, you're not going to eat till dinner time, and you're going to eat only from 4 to 8, only 4 hours a day, which is hard, and I don't recommend you do that. But if you're just wanting to repair your gut and help boost your immune system, just by doing this for a week or 2, just by fasting in the morning and don't eat until lunchtime. And then not eating anything after 7, 8 o'clock at night. All right? Make sense to you guys? Now I'll tell you why in a second. We'll put it all together here. All right. Supplementation. You should, instead of taking supplements, guys, you should eat all the healthy foods to get your nutrients and vitamins from them. Make sense? But nobody wants to do that. You guys are lazy, okay? We're all lazy. Supplements don't have a taste to them. We love to eat, right? And so if you're not going to eat the healthy fruits and vegetables that we talk about to repair the gut, there's certain supplements you should do to help repair your gut, and that's the section we're going to go through here, all right? Biggest thing is D3, so you guys can write these out one at a time. D3, all right, with probiotics. The D3 does 2 things. It boosts your immune system. If you have a gut issue, you have a what issue? An immune issue, right? Already we talked about at the beginning. So you want to make sure you take D3 to help boost your immune system, especially this time of year because there's not enough sunlight out, right? And then our D3 actually has probiotics in it as well, all right? 10 billion of the bacillus, whatever it's called. And that's the good bacteria your gut needs for at least most of you. I actually talked to somebody earlier that says that type of stuff doesn't work for them, right? I'm not going to call her out. But just being honest. But that type of bacteria is what your gut needs to fight off the bad bacteria, okay? So take a D3 with a probiotic in it to help rebuild that gut.
What is the best time of day to take that?
Lunchtime. I'm going to actually tell you in a second exactly when to take that. I'm glad you asked that question, all right? I'm going to make it so easy you guys are all the way you feel as if you don't do it, all right? I'm going to tell you when to eat it, when to take it, what to do, and what not to do. So we'll make it very easy. All right, Also, taking things with lots of enzymes, and we talked about probiotics, but taking things with enzymes and different type of essential oils that are good for the gut as well. All right. That is why we always talk about, for those of you who have gut issues, max GI. GI is your gastrointestinal, right? So that's gut issues right there. All right. So all this is in the max GI. Now back to the leaky gut. If you're somebody that thinks they have leaky gut, this is literally an actual picture of a leaky gut. This is, I guess what you call those electron microscopes or something like that, and they get really, really small. So this is the gut lining, and this is, you can call this the gluten, the rice we talked about. And so you see this massive hole right here? You guys see that gap right there in the membrane? And so all that stuff sort of passing through there. You see it coming through there? Well, the good thing is there's actually something, you know what helps close that hole up and repair that hole? Anybody want to make a guess? It's a supplement you actually can take. A lot of you take it already. Glutamine. Glutamine actually, remember I talked about zonulin in the beginning? And the zonulin is actually what makes that hole. Well, guess what closes the hole and fights off the zonulin? Glutamine, right? And so it's very, very important that you take something with glutamine in it, is the bottom line if you think you have a leaky gut, right? The glutamine actually repairs the gut lining, and it also is good for people that cut themselves and have lots of wounds and stuff like that. Glutamine actually not only repairs the gut lining, but it repairs wounds in general, right? Because it gets rid of that inflammation there. So that's why we talk about, where's it at? That one?
The big one.
I don't have it up here. Oh, that's the big bottle. It's a powder, all right? Stacy puts that in my shake. One of the things. All right. So this is the plan right here. All right, so you guys pull out your sheets. It's right here. Pull out that one. This is this slide right here. You ask when to take stuff, this is going to be your answer right here. Okay? So if you follow the whole plan that we talked about, this is it in a nutshell. All right? So it says here, follow along with me, guys. It says to fast between 8 to noon. You guys see that? So don't eat anything. And then at 12 noon, you're going to eat between 12 to 6 on this one. We make it simple for you. That's when you're going to eat your 2 meals. And when you eat those 2 meals, to answer your question, that's when you should take the Max GI, the Pro Glutamine, and the vitamin D3, the probiotics. All right? It's right there next to it, okay? And then you're going to fast from 6 to 11. All right? And right before you go to bed, that's when you're going to take the Sleep and Mood or the liquid magnesium. Make sense to you guys? And so if you want to follow it word for word and follow exactly how we just talked about tonight, if you just use this as your outline right here and literally take it when it says to take it and do it when it says to do it. That way you don't get distracted and you don't forget. So this is your game plan, so to speak. All right, make sense? Any questions about that or what that means? Nope?
Doctor, how long are we going to do this for?
21 days. A month, 21 days. That's how long it takes to repair the gut line. Yeah. 21 to 28 days. Yes, ma'am.
You said that D with the probiotic without food. What would happen if you took, like I take that D probiotic in the morning without food? Maybe that's the problem?
Maybe that's why it's tearing your... She's the one that tells me it tears her stomach up. I didn't want to call you out, but she did it go. All right. Yeah, that could be it because you're taking it without food and that probiotic's too much for you for some reason. Maybe you have too much of that, but most people don't have enough of that probiotic. That's why it's in that one. Okay? But yeah, try doing it with food, Carol, and see if that helps. And the reason, and just as a side note, the reason why there's probiotic in our D3 as well, not just for the gut, but because that's 5,000 units of D3 in there, and that's a lot. So in order to absorb it, you need the probiotics to help absorb it. That's why it's in there as well. All right. So that's the plan. Everybody pull out this one as we close. This one right here. Obviously, you guys, everything is 10% off. But if everything that is on this sheet right here, for those of you that are following along, all this stuff is what these bundles are right here. And if you're somebody that's all in and you want to do it and follow it, instead of charging full price for everything, you can buy the bundle, which will be 15% off versus buying things that are 10% off. So if you're somebody that wants to follow and do it, it's cheaper for you guys to get the bundle. We'll warn you this, though. We probably don't have enough for everybody if everybody gets the bundle because some of these were low on, some of this other stuff are low on. So if you want it, make sure you get it. And if it happens to sell out before you guys get it, don't panic. We'll get it for you and give it to you next time you come in. Okay? All right. Any questions for me about anything else before I let you guys go? Yeah.
The Max GI.
When you take the Max GI, you take it with your food. It's right. It's actually right there. Yes, sir. It's right there on that sheet. Carol.
week in what that Pro-L glutamine.
Pro-L-glutamine.
What's that do?
It repairs the gut lining. Is what it does. So anytime you have a look at your gut like it's ripped open, it's a wound, and so glutamine actually repairs the gut lining and repairs wounds as well. So if you're somebody that bruises or bleeds a lot, glutamine is very good for you as well. And it's in a powder form, so you put it in something. It has no taste. You put it in your shake in the morning, wherever the case is.
I don't understand probiotics
Okay.
and what they do. I mean, you know, I've been hearing about it for years
Yeah,
and
all right.
years and years, but
So look at it like this.
purpose.
All right, so your gut is made up of a lot of bacteria.
Right.
You have good bacteria, you have bad bacteria, right? Probiotics are the good bacteria. They're not the bad ones. So you need the good bacteria to fight off the bad bacteria. So when somebody says probiotics, it's certain strains of bacteria that we all have in us to fight the bad bacteria. That make sense?
Right, but if you don't think you have any bad bacteria, I mean, it seems to me.
Then you're fine.
Probiotics, people take probiotics like they take aspirin, and whenever I ask somebody why,
They don't know. They just do it
They
because
don't
someone
know.
tells them to.
Right.
Yeah, so you're taking probiotics to repair the bad to fight off the bad bacteria. So look at it like this. So if you take an antibiotic, like a lot of people do this time of year, antibiotics kill all bacteria, not just the bad bacteria. So if you're somebody that's sick a lot and takes a lot of antibiotics, it's killing your bad bacteria. So if you're somebody that does antibiotics, you should take a lot of probiotics because you have to build that good bacteria back up. It's a good strain of bacteria to fight off the bad bacteria because the bad bacteria is what makes you sick and weakens your immune system. All right?
Yogurt also is good.
Yeah, yogurt's good as long as it has no sugar in it. Yep. Anybody else got any questions before I let you guys go? Yes, ma'am.
Might be for another day, but kefir or kefir,
Kefir.
what's your thoughts on that?
It's great. Kombucha, kefir, all that stuff's great. It's all fermented. It's good stuff.
I mean,
It's like a fermented milk type thing. Yeah. It's like a thick yogurt. Well, a mix between a yogurt. It's like a liquid milk. I mean, liquid yogurt. Would that be the best way? It's like a liquid yogurt that you drink like a milk. It's in between milk and yogurt, you can say that. But it's got lots of good stuff, cultures and stuff like that. It's like yogurt. Yes, sir. Oh, you were just waiting.
Can you overdo this with youngsters?
Sir?
Young and
Yeah, they'll have diarrhea. So anytime you overdo it with your kids or any type of thing like that, if your kid starts getting diarrhea, it's because they're taking too much of something. Yeah. Yeah.
what about your daily defense?
Daily Defense, yeah, we didn't talk about that. Daily Defense actually has curcumin and turmeric and stuff in there. And so that's for people that have like arthritis, achy joints, muscles, and things like that because it gets rid of the inflammation. So you take one pill, take it once a day. And that helps keep the inflammation down in your joints. Daily Defense.
With probiotics, daily defense, things like that, even if you feel good and good health, it's good to.
Yeah, I take Daily Defense every single day. It's because it just keeps me feeling good because it keeps all the inflammation out of my joints when I run and stuff like that. Here.
Take that over in Inflamatome?
Daily Defense?
Yeah.
There's two, so let me just differentiate between that. Inflamatome is what you guys get up here that actually you take like a Tylenol or Advil. You take it as needed. It's a strong, it's like a pain medication without any side effects. That's Inflamatome. It's stronger than Tylenol and Advil, but not as strong as a prescription. You take that as needed. Daily Defense is something you take, you take it all the time, but you're special. I'll pray for you. That's what we say about it. Daily Defense is something you take every single day, one time a day, just to maintain that anti-inflammatory.
So that's what I mean.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right, anybody else, guys? All right, if you got a question, ask me afterwards. I respect your time. It's 10 till 7, so I'm getting you guys out of here earlier. Have a great night, all right? Thank you for your time.